Yasser Louati joins me now from Paris. He is the head of the Justice and Liberties for All Committee. Thanks so much for speaking to us. This is particularly eerie because just yesterday we spoke to the head of Germany's Central Muslim Council, and he was making the case for why Muslims in the country need police protection. How bad is this problem of far-right extremism?
Yesterday as well, I was speaking to one of your colleagues about the discourse of Emmanuel Macron, speaking of Islamic separatism within France. So we have to understand, and I keep seeing, for example, Angela Merkel and every single politician trying to, pay homage. These attacks are not prepared. They are never prepared in a vacuum. They need an environment for ideas to mature, and then a person can pick them up and then make a call to action or act him or herself. Now, what we have seen today is just the expression that as long as Islamophobia is mediatically and politically profitable for mainstream organizations, be it political parties or the media, these attacks, unfortunately, and I hope to be wrong, are bound to happen again. And we cannot take seriously politicians when on the one hand, they come and say these are racist attacks that do not belong here. And on the other, they forge alliances with the respectable forms of these organizations, such as the AfD or Marine Le Pen's party in France. The issue is extremely grave, and we have disconnected policymakers who still think that they can join these movements by making gains on their widespread grassroots activism and hope that no attacks as such will occur. Remember what happened in France a year or two ago. Multiple far-right attacks have been thwarted by our domestic intelligence. Our head of our domestic intelligence in France keeps saying that far-right extremism is on the rise and is out of control. So now when you see Muslim leaders speaking up and asking for protection, not only they must be taken seriously, but also the environment that normalizes these attacks have to be dealt with.
Right. So you're saying we need to beat the ideology here. But, one of the other problems, though, is that in the case of Germany, the Central Muslim Council was calling for protection of mosques. Now, this shooter attacked shisha bars. Police, they can't be everywhere at all times. The police in Germany have broken up terrorist rings via infiltration already. They are still actively doing that. What else can they do?
Well, we have to take the issue in terms of hate speech, be it in the media, in our pop culture, the fact that politicians can scapegoat minorities. And of course, there are people still believing, in the West that Muslimania does exist as a country. This is how broad the issue is, that, even Muslims who are third, fourth generation Muslims in Europe are still perceived as foreigners, and of course are a threat to the same things: identity, the economics, and of course national security. So when you, of course, and I'm going to address again this point of seeking police protection, you are definitely right. The police cannot be everywhere. And at the same time, seeking police protection or military protection, you are only acting downstream. The upstream level means that we have to address the issue of hate speech. And nobody is taking this seriously. It is one thing to have a free speech. It is another when you call for the wiping out of people. How come these forums online exist, whether in websites, like in Iceland or Russia, for example, but these people can still meet freely. They can still organize. They have politicians who carry their rhetoric and make it more acceptable. At what point will our institutions deal with the issue?
Yasser Louati, thank you so much for joining us there from Paris. We appreciate it.